So we have a 2001 Mercedes CLK55 AMG W208. We're going to change the front brakes, pads, and rotors. And also put in some new sensors at the same time. So I already got the vehicle jacked up. I'm using an additional electric jack as my jack stand. I have the back wheels supported, chalked off with a couple of boards, keep it from rolling. We have the emergency brake set, so it's not going to move on me. I already have the bolts pretty much broken loose. I'll finish breaking them loose and take them off, and then I'm going to turn the wheel out. So we have the wheels turned out so you can access the calipers. So as you can see, there's that sensor. On that passenger side, it was completely missing. I don't know where it went, where it fell out at wind. But got it on this side, and maybe I can figure out how to when I take that off. I know how to put the new one in. These are the caps for you. For your caliper bolts. Pretty much take these caps off with your fingers. You may have to use a small screwdriver to get in there to them. If you have one of these cars, you're going to need these Torx bits to be able to work on them. I believe in here is going to be a 245 maybe. Yep. Alright, let's see if we can break these bolts loose. Remove this clip. So it took a little bit of a struggle, but I finally got this retaining clip off. So you have to pretty much flip it out and pop these loose, and the rest of it will come out. So I'll leave that. in a kind of a location where I can figure out how to get it back on. Then I loosened up the pins a little bit more. Focus. And just try to get your screwdriver in there to your pads. Press on it just a little bit, a little pressure to get some of the pressure off of the pistons that's pushed up against it. So it'll loosen up some. Alright, come on, focus. Alright, so let the rotor fall off now. So in order really to pull that caliper all the way out, to take pressure off that line, so I had some slack off the brake line itself, I had to turn the wheel back in a little bit, which gave me enough slack to pull the caliper away from the rotor. As you can see, my brake pads are terrible. Which we're going to rectify today. These are the original pads that came on this car from Germany in 01. Alright, you see how this outer pad, it slides in that groove like that. I mean, you can get a sense of how big these are 13.3, 13.2 inch rotors. So that's the outer pad. I'll sit it down so I remember how it goes in there. That's how my dad always taught me. Make sure you pay attention how you take things out, place it, so you'll be able to put it back in there. Alright. Next thing we're going to do is going to take out that retaining screw right there that holds the rotor on. Put a little WD-40 on, a little penetrating oil, and let that sit. Be right back. So one thing about these rotors, they're directional. So there's a passenger side rotor and a driver side rotor. Let me show you what I mean by directional. The vanes that are directional. Try not to get too much goop on this thing. So you see the veins in them, they're not straight, they're curved, so they catch air. The original ones are just like that also. These are Zimmerman Fusion Z's, or Z. Zimmerman Fusion Z. People across the pond, Z. And yeah, they cost a little bit. But that's what Mercedes do to you. Let's see if I can get this old rotor off. Yeah. Let's see if I can take that loose. Just a second. I'm going to go ahead and finish taking this caliper brace off. The rotor already wants to jump off. Put these in the box. I'm keeping all my tools in so I don't lose anything. You can see that the rotor already wants to come off. Just take that off like that. Put the rotor on my milk crate. Slide the rotor right off. This really didn't look that bad. I think my pads were the ones that was in the worst shape, but this has served its time. As you can see, these are hollow, and the new ones are similar. And basically, they use a number of pins to hold it to the braking surface. I'm gonna put some new gloves on before I start handling the new rotor and get it situated and onto the hub. Let's see if I can get this prepped up a bit. Get this new rotor on. Easier said than done. See if you get feel your lug bolts to count. No. Tires chewed up. Yep. One of these is the right size. So I put a little Loctite already on this. Make sure it's seated onto the hub. There's something going on with the bolts. I'm seeing that. Okay, a little shape. Make sure it's on there, seated good. Thing with Zimmerman's that, there's no type of prep or anything like that that you have to do. They're already coated with some type of protective material. Once those pads get on and heat up and everything like that, they will start looking at regular shiny silver finish, but that's just to keep any corrosion from getting on it and shipping. So they don't pack it in a whole bunch of oil. Some other rotors that you get, you have to thoroughly clean them off before you put them on. But these Zimmerman rotors, these fusion type and the regular type also, they have the same finish to them. So the caliper retainer back on. So see, I put a little bit of Loctite on there. Lock. put that piece of wood in there so it seats up against there flush as a twin piston caliper. And so I want to make sure that you don't get any of those either piston off at an angle. So it pushes it back. You get a little pressure and just ease it in just a little bit. Because you got fluid that's in there, all that stuff is going backwards. So you want to just kind of ease it in with a little pressure. And what you're doing is pushing that piston in far enough to give yourself enough clearance for when you put the caliper back on, it'll clear the new pads that you have on. Because see, you have so much more braking and surface area. More pressure. And I just cut that little piece of wood on. Some of these kits, they come with other plates and whatnot, so but it's just kind of old school, kind of a few little things like that what my dad showed me. He used to have me and my brother come out and be his little helpers on working on some of his cars. So I picked up a lot of this it's from him. I tried to pay attention. Alright, I'll finish getting that and I'll come back and put that caliper on. So let's install these pads. This is going to be, let's see, inner pad. This will be the inner pad. Put some light in there. There we go. A couple of hooks. So you have these little pins on the outside, the calipers. Those pistons will fit right inside of there. Your outer pad is going to be flat on the outside. They got little notches in them and they fall right into that caliper plate. I left that caliper plate just a little loose so I had room to get in there, so I'm going to torque it down. Get it in there properly and then mount that caliper on. Like I said, use my tool to push those caliper pistons in to give myself room for the clearance of the new pads. That's on those pistons where they were out from the wear of the old pads. You never would get them back on, so you have to use that tool and that block to gently push those pistons back in. You don't want them to put pressure on one side or the other. That's why I use that wooden block, so it kept the pressure evenly. Alright, I don't know what my camera's doing. I'm kicking in and out on it. So anyway, I'll explain it again. So when you put those, you put your caliper back on, your inner pads, you should go ahead where you have the caliper off, snap these into the piston rings, those holes, and they'll snap right in there. And once you snap that in, just take the outer pad, position it onto the caliper plate or whatever, so once the caliper rotates around it, see, it'll take some doing, but it's basically where the pads, it'll slide into these grooves, and once you rotate it around, it'll lock in, and just finger tight push those pins in, the caliper pins, and once you push those in, then you can tighten them with your fingers, and I'll put a wrench on it in a minute. It'll put that compression plate for the caliper outer section back on. So let me get a small screwdriver to try to deal with that. Okay, I didn't even need a screwdriver to put it back on. Once you line these outer two pins up, you just put them out here. This will be off, and it's got two pins in it. Just push, and it'll pop in. It's a whole lot easier than getting it on than it is getting it back off. So that popped it right in, and that's pretty much the gist of it. Now I'll go ahead and I'll torque down that caliper, those caliper pins. So I've got the wheel turned all the way back out, and My apologies if I had some bad angles where you couldn't really see in here and be able to catch everything. I'll try to post some pictures with this also. So get my torques. So there's a sensor that goes in right here, plugs in right there, and it fits down in here. Now when I took mine apart, my sensor said find me, so the original one wasn't in there, so it must have came out a while ago. I did order some new sensors to make sure I look real good on how to install the new one, since I didn't have a template for removal. See where it's going to be that difficult. So I got the caliper pins in, tighten back up. That's what the Torx T45. And the caliper bracket is back on. Torque it down, and the outer spring, that's back on.